Yeah.
Having had a book banned, do you think at all, when you're writing, about what this is going to say to the population of Somalia? Or are you mostly thinking about what you need to just get on the page, or your friends?
Well, I'm my first reader. I have to convince myself to let go of the book first. And I'm a very critical reader. I'm very critical of myself, more than anyone else can be. At least that's what I tell myself. Maybe I fool myself into thinking that. But I continue thinking that writing has been... I have been writing one book from the beginning. In other words, although I may divide them for commercial reasons or for time-related reasons, I divide books into trilogies. I divide them into books. They could all have been one book in which, like 1001 Nights, or like, one of those other books, in which you tell similar stories that benefit from each other, that run into each other, that continue influencing each other. I have been writing more or less about the same sort of things, coming to these things from different angles at different times of my life. And my experience obviously continues changing. One hopes so one's experience is as one grows older. And so I see my work as one huge work, if it is huge, or one small work. And it's all a monument, in fact, a tribute to my mother and to the people who helped me, to my friends, and to the people whom I love and care about. It's a tribute in the sense that, having been in exile for many, many years, I'm one of those who remembers constantly that the world has allowed me the privilege of becoming who I have become, that the world has allowed me, and through friends, the world, through the friends whom I have made in different parts of the world, some of them English, some American, some African, some, Nigerian, some others, and so on and so forth, who've contributed to my survival, to my daily survival. And the reason is because somebody who's uprooted from his own country and who lives, amongst people that are not his own. Now, when I publish a book, my books are competing in America with an American writer. When I publish a book and the book is on sale in Nigeria, the book is competing with a Nigerian author on the Nigerian soil, one of my books. So it is a miracle, and it's thanks to the friends I've made over the years that my books are making friends. They're making headway into many different areas. And, I doubt it very much if many Somalis have read American books in the same way as Americans have read, let's say, my books. And therefore, I have received a great deal of generosity. And this has enabled me to continue to write and to thrive and survive.
You're listening to the Commonwealth Club of California radio program with author Nuruddin Farah. I'd like to ask you about the most amazing thing that you seem to have done quite effortlessly, and that is to use the landscape of women's lives as a way of telling the story of the spirit, the identity, the development of your country. Did you come to that, do you think, because of the influence of your mother? Is it something you thought about early on, or it just came that way?
Well, not effortlessly. Not effortlessly. And let me explain why I say this, and then I'll come back. If you remind me, I'll come back to Now, not effortlessly in the sense that, my first novel, From a Crooked Rib, which has never been reviewed in its life history, which is now in Penguin Classics and all that, came to me effortlessly, if that is the word that we are looking for. I wrote it in a month and a half, in a feverish month and a half, failed in my university exam, was expelled from university, and so on and so forth. And the choice was whether I would go back to university or not. But when the novel was being translated into German, my German publisher, because at the end of the book it says the date it was started and the date it was finished, the book, which is probably a month and a half, my German publisher dropped it. And when I saw the translation in galleys, I asked for the German publisher to explain why he dropped it. He said, because no German reader would take you seriously if you say that it took you to write a month and a half, a book worthy of them buying and paying lots of money for, and it took you only a month and a half. So my books are not effortless. And I want you to buy them knowing that they're
well, perhaps I should say...
full of sweat.
I should say
every single word.
You write women seamlessly and insightfully. The female characters come through as very solid and real and wonderful vehicles for the story you want to tell.
Well, my mother was a great influence, and so were some of the women whom I have known. And in fact, I'm also very, very pleased to say that my daughter, who is now 13, has become, a very highly already established author, publishing stories, and she has just won the greatest prize for a 13-year-old because she took in a competition, a literary prize, where she won the best writer among the under-18s in South Africa. And I am preparing to retire soon, having found someone else who can obviously write about women, write about this particular subject matter. The subject matter actually interests me, has always interested me greatly. And the reason is because it's always been my belief that it's only through the total liberation of women and the equitable conditions of, available to men, women, and children. It's only after that can we talk of democracy, can we talk of being liberated, can we talk of being humane and civilized. And I would actually say that no society can be considered democratic until all the women and children and, everybody is in their element, so to speak, fully in their elements without being subjected to all manner of violence and so on and so forth.
I would agree with that.